All right, hello wine drinking people. We have got some serious work we're putting in here in the month of May, and every year we do a Brunello tasting to showcase the newest releases from Montalcino, the greatest area in Tuscany, for the Sangiovese varietal. Well, the only area where it's by law you can only use Sangiovese for the Rosso and the Brunello wines. And this 2009 vintage shaping up to be a very good vintage, but not great. I mean, this is an area that's very consistent. It's rare that you get a bad year. You look at 2002. Some producers like Valdicava did not make any Brunello at all. They didn't make any of their single vineyard Riserva Madonna del Piano. So you can tell when it's not a good year. Valdicava doesn't make wine. So 2008 and 2009, the last two releases, not great, but they're very charming wines. They're very easy, fruit-forward wines. And once they're age, Brunello still has got some ageability to it, even in average years, but I would call them above average. I think these 2009s, very forward, fruity, charming, really nice wines to drink right now as you're waiting for your 6s and your 7s to mature in your cellar. We had some 2006 Riservas, and we opened up a few older wines. You're always going to get extra at a Wine Watch event here. The 1995 Cantalicchio di Sopra Riserva. A couple votes for wine of the night for that wine. We pulled it out late. If we would have had it on the scorecard, I guarantee we would have gotten more. But that wine, drinking at its peak, we had a perfect bottle. Well, we started out with a little Rosso di Montalcino, 2011, a challenging year. How do we know this? Valdicava didn't make any Brunello or the Madonna. So 2011 Cantalicchio di Sopra. This wine, very beautiful nose, red cherry fruit, notes of fine herbs, a little porcini mushroom, dried floral notes, really pleasant and fruity, very forward and charming. And this wine, very drinkable, lovely balance, nice red berry fruit. You could probably keep this for another 5 to 7 years in your cellar, though, because of the balance here. You get 90 points in the Wine Advocate. Excellent juice, and always a great value, under $30 a bottle. The Valdicava Brunello, or Rosso di Montalcino, 2011. One of my favorite wines for a typical Sangiovese from Montalcino. This wine needs a day to be opened up, though. It really is just a little monster here for a Rosso di Montalcino. And this was most people's pick for their favorite wine of the first two. We had these as everybody got there. This wine has got lovely fruit, somewhat reserved at first, needs a little time to air out. Like I said, on the second day, you notice this solid core of tart red cherry fruit and some lovely earthy characters there, some lovely spice in this wine, also floral notes, really nice structure in this wine, a long finish. It's got wonderful freshness. This is an excellent bottle of Rosso di Montalcino. Like I said, a quintessential example of Sangiovese from Montalcino. All right, the 2009s, we started with Banfi, the big boy, and this was a good Banfi. I'll tell you what, this is a wine that's very forward, very seductive, very charming. A lot of that tart, classic red cherry fruit, soft, silky tannins, nice hint of red licorice spice and pretty floral notes at the end. Very elegant and drinking very nicely, just right out of the bottle. Excellent juice. And then the Moccali by Brunello di Montalcino. This wine in a state owned by the Ciacci family, who are distant relatives to Ciacci Piccolomini. And in the 50s, they bought this property. And really beautiful property. This wine spends 36 months in oak. Like I said, by law, they've got to be held back for 5 years. I don't know if there's 36 months as the requirements, but you get some of that pine in the nose in this wine, which is, some of these wines, the weather was really, really hot in August. Some people picked when the Brix levels went up, and sometimes, that doesn't necessarily correspond with the phenolic ripeness of the skins and the seeds. So you did have a little green character to this wine, but a lot of nice fruit in the core here as well. Some underbrush and sage, that classic Surbois you get from the earthiness of Montalcino. Really nice, typical Brunello with a lovely cherry and wild strawberry fruit showing on the tongue. Silky smooth tannins, a nice hand of spice, tobacco, and that earthiness on the finish. Drinking really nicely right now, but this wine also lovely balance, should continue to improve for 5 to 7 years in your cellar. The Cantalicchio di Sopra, Brunello Montalcino up next, 2009. This Tiny Estate is one of my favorites. I buy these wines every year, regardless of vintage. They are great, even in difficult years. And this wine's got a lovely forward nose of red cherry fruit, herbs, tar, licorice spice, really growing in intensity as it sits in the glass. A lot of that fruit and dried floral notes showing on the finish, as well as that earthy character, tangy acidity there, leaving the tongue salivating for more. Some tannins coming at the finish, but fairly drinkable right now. This wine's got enough structure to last for a decade or more in your cellar. Only one vote for first place, but a lot of good wines on the table. Castello Romatorio up next, and this wine got the most votes for first place with 4. And they use a little barrique in this wine, which, you know, that extra wood contact makes it a little more drinkable, adds a little sweetness, a little spice to it. And that toasty oak spice evident on the nose, a lovely red cherry and wild strawberry fruit, notes of dried flowers, red licorice spice, nice complexity here. Very forward and seductive wine on the palate. These 2009 showing really nice, even at this early stage. But this wine's got a nice hand of acidity here. Smooth, round tannins, very drinkable, but has structure as well. And I would put this in your cellar for a decade here. Underbrush and sage and floral nuances showing through the finish. Excellent juice. As I said, it got the 4 votes for wine of the night, so first place. Casanova Neri up next. This cuvee can see up to 43 months in oak, and this is like Brunello 2.0, as the owner likes to say here. Very progressive producer, and this wine's got a lovely wild strawberry, gorgeous bouquet of fruit, toasty oak spice notes, some that classic underbrush and black spice of Montalcino, and really rich and forward on the tongue. Really seductive wine. Like I said, these 2009s, very showy at this early stage, but a firm hand of acidity in this wine. Also very balanced and a long layered finish. This wine got 3 votes for first place. Very showy and lovely balance, though. These all these 2009s. Well, we had really top level producers here. 2009 Val di Cava up next. This is always one of my favorites, and you know, this is one of the few guys that's willing to stake you know, his reputation in off vintages and just not make Brunello, not make Madonna, because he doesn't want his guarantee to you to ever fail, where he says, my wine will last your entire life. As long as you have it, it will be good to drink. And that's not the Rosso, that's the Brunello. But the Rosso does pretty well with a little age as well. This wine has got some really nice complexity, especially on the second day. The rose petal floral notes, the brown spices, and everything really amplified on day 2. And on the palate, this wine's got an array of that spice, but really bright, fresh red berry fruit. And some dry tannins on the finish. This wine has got good structure. Always usually needs a little more time to get the turtle out of its shell here, but it needs some time, but has everything in proportion here. And it's got a few votes for first place, and we'll vote for second place. But it was one of my favorite wines of the night as well. It's kind of a toss-up for me. The 95 Canalicchio di Sopra won out overall at the end. The 2006 Riservas still very big, very rich, very complex. The Castello Romatorio and the Canalicchio di Sopra, you know, killer wine. Actually, I take that back. The 2006 Canalicchio, killer wine of the night. This wine had a lovely bouquet, smoked meats, exotic spice, a dried potpourri of flowers, mushroom aromas, and the most old world in style has a sage and underbrush note as well, and a big and intense wine on the palate. Lots of fruit, lots of tannins, lots of everything. This wine needs some time. It's got everything in proportion. Just screams, put me in your cellar, and bring me back out 20 years from now. This wine's got some nice tannins on the finish here, but nice fruit, everything in balance. Killer juice. Castello Romatorio 06, also very big. That classic tobacco tar, rose petal, red cherry liqueur-like fruit, really concentrated and a bit closed on the first day. These 2006s, you can tell, in great vintages, Brunello just needs time. Like I said, released even later, 6 years, the Riservas, but in great vintages, you want to keep them probably 10, 15 years, like the 1995, drinking at its peak right now. This wine, the wine of the night, really classic Brunello, soft and silky on the tongue, classic tar and truffle aromas, that earth, that underbrush and sage really starting to come out, but still nice fruit in this wine, silky smooth tannins, really everything is resolved here, really lovely balance. You know, for a wine that's only a few dollars more than the current release, wow, the 95, definitely the wine of the night. All right, I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.